So basically, as a review, we know that probability is like the number of success divided by the number of possible. So we're just going to do that with this problem in this case, right? So here we have, in this question, we have 10 tiles, and we have a die that is rolled, and we want to know what is the probability that the product of numbers on the tile and the die will be a square. So we know that like the golden formula for probability is, we know that probability, like literally in every single AMCA problem, the single formula for probability here you're going to start with is number of success divided by the number of possible. Like this is like the most like basic and fundamental and important way to find the probability. There are other ways to find probability, like you can multiply events together that are independent, that like multiply their separate probabilities, but like this is like the main like important like technique that everyone should know, that probability is the number of success divided by the number of possible outcomes. So it's sometimes a good idea to think of probability as like two separate counting problems. One counting problem is finding the number of ways to succeed, and the other counting problem is to find the number of ways to like get a possible outcome. So basically we have 10 tiles numbered 1 through 10, and we have a die numbered 1 through 6. So clearly the number of possible is just going to be 10 times 6, which is 60, right? Because like the first die, the tiles, there are 10 possible tiles, and the die has 6 possibilities, so 10 times 6, 60 is the total number of possibilities. So to find the number of success, we look back at the question. We want to know what is the probability that the product of the number on the tile and the number on the die will be a square number. So in this case now, to find the number of successes, we would just like have to use some casework. So we can kind of do casework on what do we roll on the die, on the dice. So we can roll a 1, 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. Those are their possibilities. And for each of these, if we roll a 1 for the die, if the die rolls a 1, then for the tile, in order for us to have a product that's a perfect square, the tile can either be a 1, a 4, or a 9. And you can verify this, right? Just by going through the numbers from 1 to 10, it's very easy to check that 1, 4, and 9 are the only possibilities that work. If you roll a 2 on the dice, then for the tile, you can pick the numbers 2 or 8, right? You can verify this because 2 times 2 is 2 squared, which is a perfect square. 2 times 8 is 16, which is 4 squared, which is a perfect square. And no other numbers will work, like 2 times 1, 2 times 3, 2 times 4, like 2 times 10. None of those will work. And it's very easy to verify just by quickly going through the 10 possible numbers. And we can just continue the same process. If we roll a 3 on the die, then we can, for the tile, we can choose a 3. It turns out 3 is the only possibility. You can check all the numbers from 1 through 10. 3 times 3 is the only way to get a perfect square. If you roll a 4 on the die, then the tile can either be a 1, 4, or a 9. And this can, again, using the same strategy, you can check all the numbers from 1 to 10. If you roll a 5 on the die, the only possibility is if you draw a 5 from the tiles. And if you roll a 6 on the die, then you can do some math and you find that getting a 6 from the tiles is the only possible way to get a product that's a perfect square. So this question is somewhat tedious in the fact that like you kind of have to check like all the possibilities for each of the 6 possible dice rolls. You have to check all the numbers from 1 to 10, which ones work and which ones don't. But luckily, like checking each one is very fast. It's very simple. So we eventually count that these are the only ways. So now to get our answer, we would just find the number of successes. We would just count them. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So that tells us there are 11 ways to get a product that's a perfect square. So that tells us that the number of successes is just going to be 11. So the probability is just 11 over 60. And that would give us choice C, which is the correct answer.